Good morning, interwebs. It's 2:30. And look! I have a shelf. Yay! And it's even level, as indicated by the bubble.
Oh good, it was still level.
You never know with our house. I also have, can you point to the pipe that's the water?
So here's the water.
That one's gonna be water.
Gonna go up for our water filter, which will sit right here. And then this is an outlet for our coffee pot, which will sit right here.
And they're all hooked up, and there's gonna be a dishwasher here, so it'll cover everything up. Did you do anything else today, or is that it?
That's mostly it.
I mean, that took a long time. But...
I ran electrical to the refrigerator.
Oh, yeah.
No extension cord.
Woohoo! Be careful jumping around, you're gonna splinter your foot.
So I put in the circuit breaker for that one. I replaced the other circuit breaker with the GFCI circuit breaker, which is like a super duper fancy GFCI circuit breaker. It has two little lights that flash at you and tell you what's going on.
Well, that is fancy.
So,
good deal.
Those are in.
Now should I go make us lunch?
Yes, please.
Well, lunch is already made. I just need to, like, put it together. We are having rice bowls today. I made some rice in the rice pot, and I put a container of our diced tomatoes, a quart of them from the basement in there when I made the rice as most of the liquid, and there's a little bit of water left. I just used the measuring scoop for the rice, and I measured the tomatoes in it, and then I made up the difference with water. And I made some ground beef cooked with our salsa verde, and I made that on top of the wood stove. And my daughter grated some cheddar cheese. Now we're gonna put yummy rice bowls together. Yum. So it has been like 11 hours since I've talked to you because it's now 1:18 in the morning. And I'm standing here in front of the fire roasting and toasting my backside because I'm cold. And I think I might need to go put some more wood on before I go to bed. I thought I filmed more today, but I guess I didn't. I have just been like head down getting this stuff done for the pattern because, like I said, I need to get stuff together before I go to California. So I actually have made 3 projects. Just a lot of that, and then a lot of like layout work to actually get like the PDF and stuff put together, which is fine because I guess you might not know, my background is actually in journalism and copy editing, and part of that ends up being like newspaper design and layout and that sort of thing. So that's just not foreign to me. It's not something I do every day, and it's not something I do every day with constant interruptions and repeatedly hearing the word mom, 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 mom over and over, which, oh my goodness, is very frustrating. But tonight I gave the boys haircuts, and it's funny because they look so much older now. I like them with longer hair, but it was definitely time. Their hair was schlubby. As you could see in the video earlier today, we cut Steve's hair yesterday, I think. Yeah, so he looks less schlubby. But yeah, I'm tired and I have lots to do and haven't done any of it, and I don't know, just not particularly motivated. I don't even know what all I need to do, but I know I need to get some things done before I leave, other than getting packed. I keep thinking what I'm going to pack. Steve was pointing out I probably need to make sure I have all my laundry, which I will do tomorrow to make sure that I have all the clothes I need. I did say the nice thing is that I'm going from like weather here where it has been cold and apparently the freezing rain is due to start in like the next hour, like 2:30, and it's supposed to basically go until like Monday mid-morning. So, that's fun. But it's very cold here, and that's what I've been wearing, and that's what I'm used to wearing, but it's not going to be cold at my parents' house in California. So most of the clothes I'm going to take are actually not in my current rotation of clothes. They'd be more like my fall or spring wardrobe. Especially if I want to wear any of my handmade items. I can't dress too warmly, or I can't layer up with shawls and stuff. Which I might just not be able to do that anyways. But it's always a fun option. Jezebel, get out of my purse. No personal space. So we haven't really had much ice yet. There was that little bit last night that I talked about, and then it's been nice all day today. In fact, the sun was shining. You know, we'd been hearing like doom and gloom was supposed to be coming, but I still think doom and gloom is probably coming. It just hasn't gotten here yet. So we just will, you know, sit tight and see what happens. This is actually the first time I am not at all concerned with the weather from the standpoint of being here. I'm a little concerned with it in the standpoint of needing to get to the train early Tuesday morning. But I'm not at all concerned about it, like, living-wise. Because now, we have this. When my grandmother lived in this house, she had central heat and central air, but she had no, like, fireplace or anything. So, you know what happens when the power goes out? You have no heat source. And we are on a well, which means that when the power goes out, you have no water coming up in your well because the pump doesn't work. And when we first moved in, we have since replaced it. We now have a new pressure tank, which I guess holds 30 gallons of water in it, like in reserve all the time in the well. But it had been broken. Like it didn't hold that amount. So as soon as the power went out, there was no water to the house. And we had only an electric stove. Now we are going to have a gas one with all 5 burners. She's so pretty. I'm looking at her right now. She's over there. Anyways, we only had an electric stove. So when the power went out, there was no way to heat anything in our house to cook. We actually had a big snowstorm happen the first winter we were here. And my daughter was less than a year old, and she was on to eating solid foods, but we're like supplementing with solid foods because she was still nursing, which was good because that factored into the whole thing. We made all of our own baby food, and I had made a whole bunch of vegetables up, and they were all frozen, pureed in like ice cubes in the freezer. And I couldn't cook any vegetables because, well, the power was all out. So there was no heat source in our house. And I couldn't defrost the vegetables that were already cooked because it was too cold. In fact, it was freezing in our house, and we eventually had to go to my uncle's house in Topeka, where we stayed with him for like a day, and then they got our power turned back on. But it was just too cold here. It was like 30 in the 30s inside our house, and the temperature was dropping that day when I went to bed with her and like every blanket we owned on our bed. But anyways, the next day Steve and I went uptown to the cafe for breakfast because, well, we didn't have power, and they had power back in town by then, but we still didn't have power out on the farm. So we took baby food cubes with us and went up there. We're like, can we microwave these here? And they were really nice and microwaved our food for us. But that is one of my rules. If the power goes out, we get to go to town if they have power to have breakfast, which we don't ordinarily do. But if we can't make coffee and food here, we will have coffee and food elsewhere. Though I don't know if that's going to be the case anymore now that we have the ability to make our own. I guess it'll now just be optional, so I can decide at my discretion whether I want to go out or whether I want to stay home. I think that's how it'll go. But anyways, I really didn't film much today, but now I have blathered on at you a bunch. But you got to hear my fun story about the winter when we had a bunch of snow and our power went out, and it was really, really cold. And I was at home with a baby, sitting here listening to my battery-operated radio in the recliner with a bunch of blankets on us, hoping it wouldn't get any colder. And at the time, Steve was working in Manhattan. He used to do, like, work for the people that do customer service for, like, phone companies. I forget what you would call that. But he worked for one of those companies, and he worked in their training department when we first moved here. And so he was like an hour away, and the weather got really bad, and he needed to get home, and it was crazy. That is one of our most interesting winters. But those are stories for the rest of this winter, if perhaps something else triggers me. And I will talk to you all tomorrow. Nighty night.